Hello, welcome to The Garden Will Provide. This morning I'm looking at my worm bins just to check and see how the little guys are doing. I have Indian blue worms that I bought as red composting worm mix approximately 4 years ago, and I also have some worms that just arrived last week, supposed to be pure red wigglers and also European night crawlers, just because after having the Indian blue worms for so long, I'm fascinated with their behavior and I wanted to enjoy learning about the other two varieties. So let's go. Okay, here's the first bin. Let's see what the guys are doing in here. Well, look at that. Look at this little guy. Sorry, puppy. Look at this little guy. Oh, there are a couple of them. So I had an escape on the first evening. It was going to rain. I don't know if it was the barometric pressure or it was these guys being in a new environment, but I had a number of them that escaped from both the European nightcrawler bin and from the red wiggler bin. But what I did, I put these lights up, which I hadn't been using for the Indian blues, believe it or not. I didn't need to because they might gather around the edges, and every so often a couple would get out, but they didn't do that mass escape thing that I'd heard about. I didn't even know that was a thing with them until I started watching more of the YouTube worm channels and found out that was the case. So these guys here, let's see, they're pretty large, and I moved the bins kind of in a quick fashion when they were escaping to get them over to this light. And let's see, so you guys can help. What do we have here? I don't see a yellow tail, so we'll compare this bin with the other one. I don't see the yellow tail. That's supposed to be the red wigglers. So that might be, these might be the European night crawlers. Look at these guys, healthy. So I have a peat-based mix that also has cocoa coir in here, along with some shredded paper. And for food, let me get down a little deeper. So for food, I actually have some potato that's down here. I have some squash that I grew. Let's see, is anything on there yet? Wow. Wow. I put that in there yesterday. Yep, okay, little guy. And they've already started to eat that. That makes me happy. That means they have to be comfortable enough to enjoy a meal. So that's good. Now let's see what the next bin is like. I checked these for moisture. The moisture level was good. So far so good. Let's cover this back up. This bin actually has just a small tray in it where I put the escapees that were still alive. I would say I lost somewhere around, I'm going to say 50 to 70 worms total between the two. And I would guess that, looking at the numbers that were on the floor, there were probably about 40 of them that, dried up and died before I checked. And that was first evening. So this has those escapees, and this is mixed. What I did is I just took all of the escapees and dropped them in here because as they were on the floor, I couldn't tell which were which as I was picking them up. So let's see. So there are some worms in here that expired, and I've been told that they will actually compost each other, so that's fine with me. Oh, look at that. There's, oh, I thought that was one. But let's see what's alive down in here. There we go. We do have a little guy alive. There you go. It is moving pretty quickly under there. Which one would that be? There you go. Look, here we go. Jackpot. Okay, so looking at this and the size of these guys, the European night crawlers are supposed to be significantly bigger. Let's see. Can I get these where you can see them? That's better. Looking at the size of these compared to the European night crawlers, and I'm calling them European night crawlers because these are smaller, so these must be red wigglers, and those larger ones up there must be the European night crawlers. But I'm happy to see that these guys are surviving in here. And here are some others. Let's see. Okay, these are pretty much the same size, but they are surviving in there. That's good. So the escapees did make it. Some of them were dry. They weren't very active, but looks like they are going to, a number of them are going to make it. So that makes me happy. All right, let's cover this back. Again, I had checked the moisture prior. The moisture is good in there. I maintain it similar. I plan to maintain it similarly to the way I've been doing with the India Blues. Once that bin got going, I actually don't moisten that substrate at all because the vegetables and other food items that I put on top, meaning like fruits and things like that, I don't put meats or anything like that, or dairy. Those things have moisture, and the moisture gets into the substrate and tends to maintain it at a good rate where the worms are comfortable and where I don't get any sort of smell and I don't have any extra creatures attracted to it. So I plan to maintain these bins the same way. Okay, let's check this third bin. Okay. So let's see what we have here. You can see the food scraps that are in here. So the orange that you see, that's squash that I grew for my garden last year. The potato that you see down there, let's see, can you see it? Yeah, well, let me show you. So I have potato in there because they will devour that. I'm basing that on my experience with the India Blues. And look what was under the potato, just to let you know they will go for it. Look at this. Here we go. Where you at, little guys? Look at that. Look at that. Ooh. Look at that. Can you see that? See the little baby worms? Look at that. See them all in there? And they were under the potato. And that makes me happy because, see, now this confuses me, because if I look at these have a darker color. And so I expect these to be the European night crawlers. I'm going to figure this out, guys, and then I'll be clearer next time. But I'm very happy because these guys were under the, look at that, look at that. They were under the potatoes and feasting on it. So I'll put those guys back, and I'll put your little potato meal back also. Let's see what's under the squash. Yes, look at that. They are feasting under the squash. That makes me happy looking at this bin because that means that with the light, it didn't just drive them down, but they are comfortable enough to eat, which gives me great hope and great belief that they are going to survive and they are going to thrive. One thing I want to mention is that I covered this with plastic, which, you know, shopping bags, to keep the humidity in. I actually saw a lady on YouTube called the worm lady, and she just throws like bags on top. I didn't do this before, but I actually like it because I use the bags, and that does keep the humidity down. I mean, keeps the humidity up, and the moisture doesn't go out as quick. And I think this is good because I'm so used to having the Indian red wigglers whose bins have been in process for so long that they kind of run themselves as far as moisture, and the worms are acclimated very well to this environment. By the way, I'm in my basement, and the temperature is 66 degrees, humidity 49%, as you can see here. And as you can tell, these worms are happy, they are eating, and they are active when you handle them. So this temperature seems to be good. I thought about using a heat pad, but I'm not going to do that at this point because they seem settled. The last thing I'd want to do would be to heat these bins up and then to make them uncomfortable so that they then start to try to escape again. Although this light would keep them down, I feel like that would really stress them because they would want to run, but the light's keeping them down, and if it's too hot, I'd kill them. So, again, 66 degrees. Now, of course, I had my hand over it, so look at that. Look what the humidity did. The temperature stayed 66. Just me having my hand over the sensor when I was holding it made the humidity go up. So when you're using these tools, kind of just pay attention to where the sensors are because you can affect your reading just by how you hold it. Okay, now this bin actually has the Indian blue worms that I bought as red composting worms years ago, and I did not know what the difference is. So it is quite possible that I had red wigglers mixed with Indian blues, and I'm not sure if there would have been another type in there, and I just did not know that that's what they were. But I've heard, stories and, folks complain about the mass escape. I have seen cases where there are worms up around the sides of the bins, but that typically has been when there isn't much food in there or almost no food. If they devour the bedding and the pieces of edible items that they can eat, what I found is that that is when I would see them come up to the edges. When I have lots of food, they seem to stay down low. Like if you look here, it's dark, there is a light, but there are no worms that are in this area up on the top here. Let's see, is that one? Nope, that's not. Let's see. No. By the way, I saw someplace that they would actually devour denim, so I decided that what I would do, I would check that. But look at this. Here's proof. Here's proof. Let's see if I can get a picture. See if I can get this in there. Can you see that? Can you see the worms on there? I'm gonna have to bring it up, huh? See that? Look. See that? There are worms on there. Right there. There you go. See that? Here's the proof. They will actually devour the denim. But mainly I put it on there because it's a nice way to hold in the humidity. And there we go. Look at this guy. Going to town. Okay. So that's good. So look at that India blue. I love these little guys. And look, I have a mite. I've been told some mites are beneficial. It does not seem to be harming the worm. I'll find out what those are. Pull out my little microscope, magnifying glass in a little bit. Let's see. So I also use items from outside. Not much. The only thing I really should say I use are leaves. So I put leaves in here, and every so often I have to pull out slugs. But I'm not inundated because if the slugs were here, I'd see the slugs up near the top. So every once in a while, and that's actually in another bin. I haven't seen them here, but I expect that there might be at some point. Though these leaves seem pretty well broken down, so I'll put you guys back where you were. And let's see, I'll put some squash in. Does anybody here like squash? Not that one. Anybody over here like squash? Oh yes, somebody likes squash. There we go. See, look at that. Isn't that a cute little guy? Look at it. And notice I got small ones. Let's see. Let's see if we have any of the bigger guys down here hiding. There you go. I see you. I'm not gonna hurt you. I just want to show you off. Yeah, so we got other ones down there. And I had separated out worms in this bin from the others. So these are actually starting to breed. And I also have baby worms that are growing in here. What I did is I grabbed some of the castings from the original bin that this was in and added some bedding and took some of the worms and put them in here. And there they are, look. I got worms swimming around. There we go. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I really do like these Indian blue worms. Indian blue worms. Okay. And as I get better and better, I will use more scientific names. So let's cover that back up.